Captain Bruno Fernandes is back ahead of Ruben Amorim's first game in charge of Manchester United. It is soon going to be a full house, no excuses, as the boss will have time, a little bit of it at least, with most of his core players as we do get ready to take on Ipswich in the Sunday game. Trust you me, it is going to be a game and a half. My name is Webb. Welcome to the United Sport. Like, share, and subscribe as we get proper into this early team news. Put the international break behind, the last one of the year. The next will be in March next year. So the focus now for Ruben Amorim will be fully on his players. He will be fully on ensuring that the idea, the famous idea he spoke about, is applied. And who better than the skipper, Bruno Fernandes, to lead the players in terms of executing what is believed to be the strategy, the playing style that is going to lead Manchester United back to the top where many of us believe it belongs. So the team news is beautiful. I mean, the captain coming in. First of all, he cut his trip, his stay short, his stay in Portugal short because he was allowed by the manager of the Portuguese national team, Roberto Martinez, to leave early before the draw against Croatia because he had been suspended. He got a second year against, he got a yellow card against Poland in their 5-1 victory. So he was never going to be, I think, needed for the Croatia game. So they allowed him to leave the camp, and that is why he was able to join the team early. So it's a beautiful, beautiful update, of course, for the team because, I mean, we've had before we've seen a lot of young players, of course, from the first training we saw with Ruben Amorim. Quite a number of young players were in there trying to make up the numbers. But if we get at least 2 days with the senior team, and including the captain, we expect soon Manuel Ugarte to be definitely joining in. We expect the likes of Rasmus Højlund as well to be joining in. So all the senior players will be in, and we will properly now have to focus on ensuring that these players grasp his methods as early as they can. So very important stuff, of course, in terms of preparations for the upcoming game. But I'll tell you, before Sunday, I think there must be a sort of an idea of what exactly the supporters need to expect from the game against Ipswich, because this is the first game starting the new era of Manchester United under Ineos. So it is certainly a high pressure game for everyone. For the fans, I'll tell you, because trust me, the naysayers of Arsenal are watching. Man City, the noisy neighbors in blue, are also watching, waiting for every reason to pounce on the Man United fans and take them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So in terms of expectations, we've got to manage our expectations and know, okay, this is the first game in charge for a 39-year-old head coach. Man United hasn't had a head coach since I knew about it. This is the first time. I mean, it's a new structure, completely new structure. It's a new management, and their era starting officially. It's players, of course, not knowing what kind of response they are going to get from the supporters who will travel to support the team at Ipswich. They're playing against a team coached by a former head coach, their former head coach in Kieran McKenna. So I think it's only right for fans of Man United to manage the expectation from the game. Now, the realistic expectation for me should be Manchester United to play football, to have an identity, to have a style, to have a pattern, to have a desire as well in the team. Because one of the biggest issues under Eric Ten Hag that were glaring was the lack of desire from the players, the lack of character and personality. Now, obviously, Amorim was brought in to solve that. Now, in terms of which players will start ahead of who, and the selection, we may not sit here and authoritatively have an idea of what the probable starting 11 could be. Perhaps by Saturday, I should be able to drop a probable starting 11. But of course, what I know is that a player like Mason Mount perhaps could this time have a case to make for himself. This is, I think, his chance for redemption. He would have a case to make for himself and try to come back and not really come back, because he has never really been a starter per se, but to try and maybe sneak himself into Ruben Amorim's long-term plans of his main starting 11. Same with Anthony. Anthony has got a big headache to deal with, especially Amad Diallo. But the first training we saw with Ruben Amorim, Anthony and Amad were playing on the same side, with Ahmad playing with it was I think it was Anthony, Ahmad playing ahead of Anthony. And they were both playing wide on the right. Now, maybe this is something we can explore and see whether it will give Anthony the freedom to become the 85 million quid player that Man United paid for from Ajax a few years ago. So there is a lot to read into the Ipswich game, because the first game will always give you the idea of whether it will head right or not. Because again, it is all try and error, isn't it? So interesting moments. Of course, we won't get proper details into the nitty gritties of the starting 11 and the squad and all, and how it could be assembled and what. It's early days for us to have a decent idea of that. But what we know is that Kobe Maino seems to be an important player for Amorim, the way he's focusing on him, giving him time. Lenny Yoro, if you ask me, should be sliding right straight into the starting 11. I think with the back three, you need a player of Lenny Yoro's build. That is one, because he's tall, he's physical, he's young, and certainly trainable. If the trainings Amorim has had anything to go by, clearly he has put stone in a ring for himself to be playing. We hope that when Delete arrives, he will also be an important integral part of the backline, because we need to see Man United have a starting backline, a starting a partnership in the back that is going to be consistent. That has been an issue under Eric Ten Hag. So we'll be looking out for solutions to the so many glaring problems that we knew before under the past management. We'll be looking, out for character. We'll be looking out for responsibility, teamwork, a lot to look out for in the coming game. But the fact that Captain Bruno is in the house, I think, is also another motivator. People underestimate the role of Bruno Fernandes on the Man United team. I mean, if you're talking a bunch of players who are, not motivated, who play like they don't love the badge, they play like they do not know they're playing for Man United. You need You've always needed that player like Bruno who has got the drive at least to consistently try and push them. You remember when Man United lost Bruno for a few games last season, how terrible it was. Even when he was not at his Bruno best, he was not playing like a player who has scored, 40 and assisted 26 in 80 games for Man United. But even then, he was putting in the hard yards and looking at a little different from the rest of the players. So we hope that his presence will inspire these players to realize how important it is for them to get off the mark against Ipswich, regardless it being an away game, against a coach who knows each and every one of these players because he has worked with them before. So it's going to be an interesting game on Sunday. But it's early days, of course. That's the early team news. We know that Victor Lindelof is injured, Harry Maguire is injured. Those are the two confirmed injuries so far. The rest are in there. We could get to see Luke Shaw slot in and start a game, or maybe him or Malaysia. You never know, because Amorim has got time with these players to try and study and see where they can fit in. So trust me, it is going to be an exciting Sunday for Manchester United. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will be catching you again later. Peace, love, and harmony.